Hey there, welcome back to the channel. They'll never text you and say, "I regret losing you." But regret always leaves clues. Silent, invisible, but powerful. You can't see it, but you can feel it in your soul. Regret doesn't come wrapped in apologies. It doesn't come with a message saying, "I miss you." It hides behind pride, fake smiles, and silent suffering. When they walked away, they thought you'd always be there, waiting, hoping, breaking. They thought you'd spend every night staring at your phone, praying for their name to pop up. They thought your heart would always be a home they could return to whenever they wanted. What they never expected was that you'd finally learn how to lock the door. Your silence became the one thing they never prepared for. They thought they'd broken you, but what they really did was set you free. The hardest pill they'll ever swallow is knowing they lost someone who would have never given up on them, while they were out chasing temporary attention. Regret doesn't hit them when you're crying. It hits when they realize you're healing. It hits when they see you're glowing without them. It hits when they start checking your profile secretly, wondering how you're smiling without the love they thought you couldn't live without. Their silence isn't strength. It's proof they're suffering in ways they'll never admit out loud. They're watching you become the version of yourself they never believed you'd become without them. But here's the truth. They're not silent because they don't care. They're silent because they care too much. They know the moment they text you is the moment they lose all the power they thought they had over you. This video is going to show you the hidden signs they regret losing you, even if their pride will never let them say it. Because deep down, they know they lost someone rare. And you? You're about to realize you're the blessing they prayed for, but didn't know how to keep. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to reclaim your power without ever lifting a finger. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. They lost me, and they'll never find me twice. Now, let's get into it. Number 1, they thought you would always wait. When they walked away, they convinced themselves you'd always be there, waiting in the same place they left you. They thought your love was a guarantee, not a blessing. They thought you'd spend every night staring at your phone, replaying old conversations, hoping they'd come back. They thought they could replace you, and you'd still be there when they realized they couldn't. What they never calculated was that the moment they walked away was the moment you started rising. They underestimated your strength because you gave them a version of yourself that loved them more than you loved your own peace. But the person who begged for their attention no longer exists. Your silence is breaking them more than your tears ever could, because you're showing them the one thing their ego never prepared for. You're not waiting. Every picture you post, every day you don't reach out, every smile they can't figure out, is making them realize they lost something they thought would always be there. They thought you'd always forgive them. They thought you'd always fight for them. They thought you'd always be the one to text first. But now, they're watching you become everything they were too blind to appreciate. Epictetus once said, "If they don't miss you now, they will miss you later." And that later always comes when it's already too late. Let them act like they don't care. Let them post fake happy pictures. Let them pretend they've moved on. Deep down, they know the truth. They never thought you'd actually walk away. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I'm not waiting. I'm rising. Number 2, regret doesn't come fast. It comes slow. Regret isn't something that happens overnight. It's a slow, burning poison that creeps in when they least expect it. When they walked away, they felt powerful. They convinced themselves they made the right decision. At first, they felt free. The weight of the relationship was gone. They went out, posted fake happy pictures, and acted like losing you was the best thing that ever happened to them. But that freedom was never real. It was just a temporary distraction from the truth. Regret doesn't come fast. It comes slow. It starts with curiosity. They start checking your profile secretly, waiting to see signs of your pain. But when they see you're not chasing them, something shifts inside their mind. That curiosity turns into confusion. They thought you'd be broken. They thought you'd be crying yourself to sleep. But instead, you're out here glowing without them. And that glow is their worst nightmare. Psychology says regret always hits harder when the person you walked away from starts thriving without you. The more you focus on yourself, the louder their regret becomes. What breaks them isn't just that you're moving on. It's that you're doing it without needing them. You're proving to them that they were never the reason for your happiness. They were just a temporary chapter in a book that's still being written. That's why regret takes time. Because at first, their ego blinds them from the truth. But as weeks turn into months, the silence gets heavier. Every time they check your profile and see you're not breaking, they're breaking. Every time they resist texting you first, their pride is eating them alive. Every time they replay old memories, they're realizing they lost someone they will never find again. Seneca once said, "Time discovers truth." And the truth is, they thought you'd wait forever. They thought they'd always have access to your energy. But now your silence is teaching them the hardest lesson of all. You don't lose someone like you and ever find them twice. Let time do its job. The longer you stay silent, the louder their regret will become. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Every day I stay silent, their regret grows louder. Number 3, how regret grows inside them. Regret isn't a sudden explosion, it's a slow poison that builds inside them day by day. It doesn't break them all at once, it breaks them in stages, silently destroying their ego from the inside out. At first, they feel powerful. Week 1, they convince themselves they made the right decision. They walk away thinking you're the one suffering. They feel in control. They tell themselves you're probably crying, waiting by your phone, checking their last scene, replaying old conversations. They believe you'll reach out any moment because that's what you always did. But when that message never comes, something small cracks inside them. Week 3, the curiosity begins. They secretly check your profile, scrolling through your posts, reading your captions, trying to see if you're still broken. But they'll never like anything. They'll never watch your stories from their main account. They'll hide in the shadows, because their ego won't allow them to show they're still watching. They think they're winning by staying silent. But what they don't realize is, every time they stalk your page in secret, they're proving to themselves that they're the one who can't let go. Week 6, they try to play mind games. They start posting fake happy pictures, nights out, forced smiles, selfies they never posted when they were with you. They're hoping you'll see those pictures and break your silence. They're hoping you'll text first, just to ask if they've moved on. But when you don't react, the panic starts to creep in. Week 8, they start asking themselves a dangerous question. Why aren't they texting me? They expected you to chase. They thought you'd fight to get them back. But now you're teaching them a lesson they never saw coming. I'm not the same person you walked away from. That question will replay in their mind every single night. And the longer you stay silent, the louder it gets. Week 12, regret starts eating away at them. Every fake smile, every night out, every distraction, it all starts to feel empty. They realize no one is checking on them the way you used to. No one is fighting for them the way you did. They realize they lost someone who would have never given up on them. But by now, their pride is too heavy to text first. They sit in silence, watching, waiting, suffering. After 6 months, the truth finally breaks them. They realize they lost the best thing that ever happened to them. Not because you're perfect, but because you loved them in ways they'll never find again. They'll never tell you they regret it. They'll never text you, "I miss you." But every stalked profile, every sleepless night, every fake smile is their silent apology. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Let them suffer in silence. Let regret break them slowly, the same way they broke you. You don't need revenge. Your glow-up is the only punishment they deserve. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is rewriting how they see me. Number 4. The signs they regret losing you. Regret is loud, even when they try to hide it. They'll never text you and say, "I miss you." They'll never call and confess they made a mistake. But regret always leaves signs, small, subtle signals that they're suffering in silence. The truth is, people can fake happiness, but they can't fake energy. You can feel when someone is still attached to you, even if they're trying to act like they don't care. One of the first signs they regret losing you is how they watch your every move without ever making it obvious. They scroll through your posts late at night. They watch your stories, but never like your pictures. They wait until your story's about to expire just to view it, hoping you'll never notice. But deep down, they want you to notice. They want you to know they're still watching without ever having to admit it. They unfollow and refollow you, not by accident, but because they want to trigger your curiosity. They want to remind you they're still lurking in the background without saying a single word. They might even block you, then unblock you, just to mess with your mind. It's not love. It's ego addiction. Another sign of hidden regret is the way they post indirect quotes, those cryptic captions about missing someone without saying their name. They won't text you directly, but they'll post songs you used to listen to together. They'll post stories with lyrics about losing someone, hoping you'll take the hint. They don't want to break their silence. They want you to break yours. But the most painful sign of regret is how they try to place themselves in your path without making it obvious. Suddenly, they show up at places they know you'll be. The same coffee shop, the same gym, the same party with mutual friends. They act like it's just a coincidence. But there are no coincidences when regret is involved. They're hoping you'll see them. They're hoping you'll spark a conversation. Because if you text them first, they don't have to admit they regret losing you. They can just pretend it happened naturally. Mutual friends will randomly mention their name to you, not because it's by accident, but because they've been asking about you behind closed doors. They'll never ask you directly, because that would mean exposing their pride. But they'll find ways to get updates on your life without ever reaching out themselves. One of the biggest signs they regret losing you is how fake their happiness looks. They post smiling pictures, but the smile never reaches their eyes. They go out every weekend, but their energy feels forced. They're trying to convince the world and themselves that they're better off without you. But no amount of parties or fake happiness can fill the void of losing someone who genuinely loved them. If you pay close attention, you'll notice the cracks in their performance. The truth is, regret always shows up in the eyes before it shows up in the mouth. The eyes don't lie. They can pretend to be happy, but the moment they see you glowing without them, Their entire energy shifts. They'll avoid eye contact. They'll act like you're invisible, not because they don't care, but because they're trying to hide the storm raging inside them. The loudest sign of regret is their silence. The reason they haven't texted you isn't because they've moved on. It's because they know if they reach out, they'll have to swallow every ounce of pride they built after walking away. They'll never admit they regret losing you, but every unread message, every stalked profile, every sleepless night is their silent apology. Their ego is holding their hands back from typing, "I miss you." But their regret is screaming inside their mind, "I wish I never let you go." Remember this, silence is just regret wearing a mask. The longer they stay silent, the louder their regret becomes. Number 5, what they regret the most. They don't regret the breakup. They regret what they lost. They regret losing the one person who saw the best in them, even when they only gave you their worst. They regret the way you stayed loyal when they were out chasing distractions. They regret how you held them down when they couldn't even hold themselves together. The truth is, they thought they could replace you. They thought they'd find someone better. But what they're realizing now is, people like you don't come twice in a lifetime. You were the blessing they prayed for, but never knew how to keep. They don't miss the relationship. They miss the version of themselves they got to experience when they were loved by you. You made them feel safe in a way no one else ever could. You healed wounds inside them that they never even told you about. And the saddest part, they never even thanked you for it. They regret the way you forgave them when they didn't even apologize. They regret how you kept giving them chances when they gave you every reason to walk away. They regret how you stayed up late sending long messages trying to fix things, while they barely replied with one-word answers. What breaks them the most is knowing they'll never find someone like you again. They'll meet other people. They'll go on dates. They might even jump into new relationships. But no one will ever match the way you loved them. No one will ever match the way you cared, not because you're replaceable, but because your kind of love comes from the soul. You loved them with pure intentions, without games, without manipulation, without holding back. That's the kind of love people only realize they had when it's already too late. They don't regret the fights. They don't regret the breakup. They regret losing the one person who never gave up on them while they were too busy taking you for granted. And now, the same love they once ignored is haunting them in every person they try to replace you with. They'll spend the rest of their life comparing every new person to you, and no one will ever measure up. They'll find someone who's attractive, but she won't have your heart. They'll find someone who's fun, but she won't have your loyalty. They'll find someone who loves them, but she won't fight for them the way you did, because the truth is, they didn't lose a partner. They lost a once-in-a-lifetime energy. The reason they regret losing you isn't because they can't find someone else. It's because they know they'll never find you again. They'll regret the way you begged for their attention, while they acted like you were too much. They'll regret the way you made them a priority, while they made you feel like an option. They'll regret every "I love you" they left unanswered, every text they ignored, every chance you gave them that they'll never get back. And the worst part is, they'll never admit it. They'll suffer in silence, stalking your life from behind a screen, watching you become the person they always feared you'd become without them. They'll regret losing the person who would have never given up on them, while they were out searching for something that never existed. What hurts them the most isn't just losing your presence, it's losing your patience. It's knowing you would have stayed, if only they had loved you the way you deserved. But now you're gone, and they know they'll never be loved like that again. If you're watching this right now, I want you to understand something. You were the blessing they prayed for, but didn't know how to keep. That's why they'll regret losing you for the rest of their life. Let them search. Let them try to replace you. Let them suffer in silence, because one day they'll look back and realize they didn't just lose a person. They lost the best thing that ever happened to them. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I was the blessing they prayed for, but didn't know how to keep. Number 6. Why they will suffer in silence forever. They will suffer in silence forever, not because they don't care, but because they care too late. They will suffer in silence because they know deep down. They played the game wrong. They thought walking away would make you chase. They thought ignoring you would break you. But what they never expected was that your silence would become their worst nightmare. The human mind is wired to crave what it can't have. And the more you stay silent, the more they crave the version of you they thought would always be there. They'll suffer in silence because every second you don't text them back, their regret grows louder. Every time they check your profile and see you're still glowing without them, their heart breaks a little more. They'll scroll through your pictures at 2 a.m., replaying every memory they once took for granted. They'll stare at your name in their messages, typing and deleting the same text they'll never have the courage to send. They'll ask your mutual friends how you're doing, not because they want to know, but because they need to know if you've moved on. They'll suffer in silence because the person they thought would always wait isn't waiting anymore. What eats them alive isn't just losing you, it's losing the power they once had over you. They miss the way you used to double text them. They miss the way you begged for their attention. They miss the version of you who would have forgiven them with just one message. But that version of you doesn't exist anymore. Your silence is forcing them to meet a new version of you. A version that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and doesn't wait for anyone to realize your worth. They're suffering in silence because they know you'll never reach out again. They know you'll never beg for their love again. And that's breaking them more than the breakup ever did. They'll post fake happy pictures just to convince themselves they're winning, but behind closed doors, they're losing a battle you'll never see. They're too proud to text first, but too broken to move on. They're trapped between wanting you back and not wanting to admit they need you. Psychology says the biggest regret always comes when you realize you lost someone who would have never given up on you. That's exactly why they'll suffer in silence forever, because while you're healing, they're hurting. While you're leveling up, they're breaking down. While you're becoming everything they prayed for, they're realizing they were never worthy of you in the first place. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. You're not getting revenge by ignoring them. You're getting revenge by becoming the version of yourself they always feared you'd become without them." They'll suffer in silence because they know someone else is going to get the version of you they took for granted. Someone else is going to get the loyalty they never appreciated. Someone else is going to get the kind of love they spent their whole life searching for, but lost the moment they lost you. The reason they will suffer in silence forever is because deep down, they know they'll never be able to come back. They know you're not waiting anymore. They know if they text you right now, you'll leave them on read, and that feeling will haunt them for the rest of their life. Let them suffer. Let them stalk. Let them regret every second they wasted playing mind games with someone who would have given them the world. Your silence is teaching them the lesson they'll never forget. You don't lose someone like you and find them twice. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence will echo in their heart forever. Number 7. What you should do. If you know they regret losing you, don't text them, don't stalk them, don't give them even 1% of your energy. When you know they regret losing you, the only thing you need to do is stay silent. The moment you break your silence, they win. The moment you text them first, they feel powerful again. Regret is a slow poison, but the only way they'll feel its full effect is if you leave them in the dark. They're waiting for a sign that you're still holding on. They're waiting for one little message, one little like, one little mistake that proves they still have control over you. But what they don't know is you're not the same person they walked away from. Every second you stay silent, you're breaking their ego without even lifting a finger. The greatest punishment isn't blocking them. The greatest punishment is letting them watch your life from a distance, knowing they will never be a part of it again. They'll spend their nights staring at your pictures, but they'll never have the courage to text you. They'll type out messages, but delete them out of fear you'll ignore them. They'll stalk your glow-up in silence, but never clap for your progress. That's how regret works. It makes them suffer silently for the love they took for granted. Your silence is your power. The version of you who used to chase doesn't exist anymore. The version of you who begged for their attention is gone forever. You're not proving your worth by breaking your silence. You're proving your worth by never giving them access to you again. Let them suffer. Let them miss you. Let them regret every moment they thought you would always wait. The strongest move you'll ever make is choosing yourself. They'll watch you rise. They'll watch you heal. They'll watch you become the person they always feared you'd become without them. And the most painful part is, they won't be able to touch this version of you ever again. One day, they'll look at your life from a distance and whisper to themselves, I had the best, but I was too blind to see it. But by then, it will be too late. Let them miss you, but never let them reach you again. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I forgive, but I never return. Regret is the loudest sound, in the deepest silence. They'll never text you, but they'll feel your absence every second of every day. Let them regret you, but never let them reach you again. You're not losing anyone who couldn't see your worth. They're losing someone they'll spend the rest of their life searching for in every person they meet. If this video spoke to your heart, I want you to comment, I choose myself. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because your glow-up journey is just getting started.